Welcome to this explainer on Mabel IAM's incredible I Am method. If you've ever felt completely stuck on autopilot, like you're just reacting to life rather than consciously creating it, well, this framework is exactly what you need to break free. So let's jump right in with a pretty wild question you can ask yourself. In your daily life, are the burdens you carry dissolving, or are they just getting heavier? Hold on to that thought for a second. The answer actually lies at the very core of how our internal operating systems function. And honestly, it's the absolute key to understanding why we sometimes sabotage our own success without even realizing we're doing it. To unpack all this, we're going to follow a really clear roadmap. First, escaping the automatic self. Then, scanning the 12 houses, crossing the gratitude bridge, activating your alter self, and finally, manifesting the integrated self. All right, let's kick things off with step 1, escaping the automatic self, by unpacking what's known as the horse story.
To really escape our automatic self, we first have to diagnose a major core bug in our operating system. Basically, it's our heavy reliance on outdated survival mechanisms. Mabel IAM calls this the conditioned self. It's that identity we developed way back when, just to survive or fit in, which now completely traps us in these exhausting, repetitive loops. And it's brilliantly illustrated by her horse story. Just imagine a horse whose job is to carry heavy sacks of salt. One day, the poor guy accidentally trips and falls into a river. The water dissolves all the salt, and the horse walks away totally relieved, totally free of its heavy load. Sometime later, the owner loads the horse up again, but this time with a bag of sponges. Remembering the amazing relief from the river, the horse, with spectacular display of deeply misguided logic, intentionally jumps right back into the water. But this time, the sponges absorb the water, making the load unimaginably heavy. And listen, this is exactly what we do. We constantly repeat behaviors that once saved us in the past, like putting up emotional walls or reacting defensively, but in our current reality, those same behaviors act like sponges. They just absorb weight and drag us right down into a downward spiral.
Whenever we act like that horse, relying blindly on past conditioning, we are firmly stuck at the victim level. At this first level of consciousness, life is just happening to us, and we end up blaming the outside world for our heavy loads. But by consciously upgrading our consciousness, we can actually evolve step by step. We move to the manifestor level, where we finally realize we are co-creators of our own reality. From there, we move to purpose, where we channel a much higher energy, and ultimately to integration, where we feel complete oneness with creation. So, the absolute crucial question is, how do we identify exactly where in our lives we are acting like that horse? That brings us to Section 2, scanning the 12 houses to diagnose your energetic reality. Because think about it, you can't fix a bug in the system if you can't find it. The I Am method uses 12 astrological houses, but not to tell your fortune, not at all. It uses them as a comprehensive energetic scanner. It is kind of like getting a clinical blood test, but for your life. Mabel IAM teaches that you can't just sit around and guess what's wrong. You need a solid map. These 12 areas represent literally every dimension of human existence. They show you exactly where your energy is flowing in a high frequency of conscious choice and exactly where it is stuck in a low frequency of fear-based automatic reaction. It gets incredibly practical when we look at something like House 2, which governs possessions and money. If you're operating House 2 on a low frequency, say you're staying in a job you have absolutely zero passion for, your bank account is limited entirely by what your boss feels like paying you rather than what you actually desire or deserve. Or take a look at House 8, the personal unconscious. This is the exact place where we hold on to those old sponges we talked about. If you don't use this scanner to consciously observe these specific areas of your life, you end up completely abandoning your power. Your life just ends up being run by its default settings. Moving right along to Section 3, crossing the gratitude bridge to stop that downward spiral. Once we use our new scanner to pinpoint where our energy is draining out, we absolutely need a mechanism to stop that biological dysregulation. Before we can even step onto that bridge, we have to wake up our observer. Now, in the I Am method, the crucial point here is that your higher self isn't some supernatural ghost or magical entity floating around. It is simply your integrated awareness. It's your very practical ability to create a tiny, powerful pause between a stimulus and your reaction. It's stepping back in real time and asking, okay, what response is actually aligned with the person I am consciously choosing to become right now, instead of just blindly reacting from your history? And the absolute best tool your higher self can use to create that pause? It's gratitude. When you are in a downward spiral, when your nervous system is totally dysregulated, pumping out stress hormones and making you feel totally powerless, Gratitude acts as your emergency brake. It's literally the master key. It provides this incredibly neutral zero point that just stops your fall in its tracks. You aren't just trying to think positive here. You are literally halting your biological free fall so you can consciously choose a new direction. Once that emergency brake is pulled, you can start building a brand new high-frequency sequence. The old automatic way was simple: stimulus, interpretation, reaction. But now, with the brake of gratitude applied, you follow a totally new path. First, awareness of what's actually happening. Second, regulation of your nervous system. Third, intentional choice. And finally, action. Instead of just blindly flailing and reacting, you consciously regulate and choose your next move. You are finally the one behind the wheel. Which leads us beautifully into Section 4, activating your alter self and upgrading your identity. Knowing what to do is one thing, right? But actually embodying it requires us to step into a totally new version of ourselves. And this is a massive paradigm shift in the I am method. Your next level of success doesn't require faking it till you make it. No, it requires activating dormant qualities that literally already exist inside you. You don't just invent an alter ego out of thin air, you pull it directly from your hidden self. This is a massive reservoir of latent potential and unclaimed power that Mabel IAM calls your luminous shadow. These are all those amazing traits you constantly admire in other people, but just haven't quite given yourself permission to use yet. To make this hyper-real, you have to build a highly concrete portrait of this alter ego. You have to define exactly how this empowered version of you walks, talks, and thinks. First, give it a name of power, like the visionary or the leader. Then define its appearance. When this version of you enters a room, how do they hold themselves? What are 3 words that describe their movement? And most importantly, you have to give it an internal phrase, a mantra that it repeats right before taking any action. By defining all this, you're building an operative vehicle to securely transition from who you are today directly into who you aspire to be. And finally, Section 5, manifesting the integrated self, bringing it all together. As we integrate all these practices, escaping our automatic reactions, scanning our lives, applying that gratitude brake, and fully embodying our alter self, the division between our current self and our highest ideal just begins to melt away. Abundance is not asked for, it is remembered. I absolutely love that quote. It beautifully encapsulates this realization that you already possess all the internal resources you could ever need to create external wealth and happiness. Financial manifestation, or frankly success in any of the 12 houses, is not some external pursuit. It is a deeply internal evolution of your identity. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what your identity is prepared to embody. When you integrate all your functional selves, you simply remember the abundance that was always native to your system. Ultimately, the I am method gives you the map and it gives you the keys. It shows you exactly how to upgrade your internal operating system so your external reality naturally follows suit. But I want to leave you with this thought to really chew on. You have the scanner in your hands, you know exactly how to hit the gratitude brake, and your hidden self is just waiting there. So which identity are you going to consciously choose to activate right now? Keep asking yourself that question and just watch how your reality transforms.